From the moment the dusty, wind-swept plains of the Levant first tremble under the thunder of cavalry, a figure emerges in our imagination with the weight of destiny on his shoulders. This is Saladin, the Sultan who would crush the Crusades, a man whose name would echo through centuries as both a liberator and a legend. Born Yusuf ibn Ayyub in the turbulent frontier town of Tikrit around 1137 or 1138, he was raised in a Kurdish warrior family, yet as a youth he was more drawn to religious study than to the clang of swords. From those quiet beginnings, his life would be forged in fire and forged for war under the tutelage of his uncle, the military commander Shirkuh. Saladin learned not only the art of war, but the strategy of power, serving under the powerful Syrian ruler Nur al-Din. When Shirkuh died in Egypt, Saladin was appointed vizier in 1169, a turning point, for by 1171 he had abolished the Shiite Fatimid Caliphate in Cairo and restored Sunni rule, seizing Egypt as the backbone of his rising power. His ascent was not just by the sword. With deft diplomacy and shrewd alliances, he wove together Egypt, Syria, northern Mesopotamia and Palestine into a single realm under his banner. Though rivalries abounded, and the succession of Nur al-Din's heir was uncertain, Saladin's unshakable conviction and his discipline allowed him to emerge as the undisputed leader of the Ayyubid dynasty. But his true glory would come not just from uniting lands, but from rallying people to a cause greater than any single kingdom: the jihad, the holy war to drive out the Crusader invaders who had dared to lay claim to Jerusalem and the sacred soil of his faith. With steely resolve, he gathered an army disciplined not only in military tactics, but united in purpose, forging a force capable of standing against the fractured feudal Crusader states. Then came the fateful summer of 1187. On July 4th, at the Battle of Hattin, Saladin struck with ruthless precision. Surrounded, exhausted, thirst-parched, the Crusader army was annihilated under his command, their banners crushed and their hopes shattered. The victory at Hattin opened the gates for Saladin's campaign through the Crusader-held cities. Acre, Beirut, Nazareth, Jaffa, all fell in rapid succession. And then, on October 2nd, 1187, Jerusalem itself surrendered after nearly 90 years of Frankish rule. But remarkable among conquerors was Saladin's mercy. He offered safe passage to the Christian inhabitants if they paid a fine sparing lives rather than spilling blood, a gesture that would echo through history as a symbol of his chivalry. In his court and in his character, Saladin embodied a rare duality: fierce warrior and magnanimous sovereign, deeply spiritual yet ruthlessly pragmatic. He founded schools and mosques, supported scholars, encouraged moral regeneration, and made jihad not only a campaign of swords, but a revival of faith. Yet his ambitions did not end with Jerusalem. He pressed on, consolidating his empire even as the West was reeling. And when the Third Crusade was launched in response, led by the likes of Richard the Lionheart and Philip II of France, Saladin did not shrink. Though the Crusaders laid siege to Acre, and despite their valor, despite the King of England himself, Saladin held firm, his resilience and resources proving equal to the challenge battles raged. Jaffa became a bloody contest in 1192, but in the end, a fragile peace was struck, granting the Crusaders little more than a coastal foothold while Jerusalem remained under Muslim control. Behind the scenes, he navigated the treacherous terrain of dynastic rivalries and shifting alliances, staying true to his mission, uniting the Muslim world, defending the Holy Land, and securing the legacy of his faith. But years of campaigning weighed heavy. Saladin was no young man, and in March 1193, in his beloved Damascus, he breathed his last in the quiet shade of his gardens, his body exhausted, his heart full, yet his coffers nearly empty, for he had given so much away that by the time of his death there was little left even to pay for his burial. He left behind no massive treasure, but something far greater, an empire, yes, but also an idea that power might be tempered with mercy, that faith can inspire unity, and that even the most brutal of wars does not have to erase the light of compassion. His name became legend, praised in both the Muslim and Christian worlds. His memory carried in stories of nobility, chivalry, and foregoing wealth in favor of justice. His Ayyubid dynasty would continue beyond him, but no ruler quite matched his stature. He remained the ideal of righteous leadership, a warrior saint whose shadow stretched across time. And so the story of Saladin is not just one of conquest. It is the story of a man who changed the course of history, who forged an empire from fierce conviction, who united peoples and redeemed a city, and who in the end lived and died as a man of faith and of legend. The Sultan who crushed the Crusades, yet spared the souls of those he conquered. The sun rose over the Levant once more, painting the deserts and cities in blood-red light. And with it, the legend of Saladin grew ever larger, stretching far beyond the battlefield into the hearts and minds of those who witnessed his rise. His campaigns were not merely sequences of skirmishes and sieges, but a masterclass in strategy, patience, and psychological warfare. As he understood that to break the Crusaders' hold, he needed more than swords. He needed to outthink them, to starve their fortresses, cut their supply lines, and exploit every fracture in their alliances, knowing full well that the fractured Crusader states would crumble under sustained pressure. Yet he tempered his methods with restraint, often offering generous terms to those who surrendered, which earned him grudging respect even among his enemies. His fame reached Europe, carried in tales of a noble adversary, a man who was both feared and admired, and whose reputation for fairness contrasted sharply with the brutality that often characterized medieval warfare, painting Saladin as an almost mythical figure, a paragon of chivalry in a world defined by bloodshed. And as he consolidated Egypt and Syria under his rule, he faced the immense challenge of governance, balancing religious obligations, military needs, and the administration of a diverse population that included Arabs, Kurds, Turks, Christians, and Jews, ensuring that the infrastructure, irrigation, and trade that sustained his armies also benefited the cities under his control, creating stability in a region long torn by conflict. Yet the shadow of the Crusades never fully lifted, as news of the Christian king's determination to retake Jerusalem loomed like a constant threat, compelling Saladin to maintain vigilance, fortify key positions, and engage in diplomacy that would buy time and prevent his enemies from exploiting weakness, all while fostering loyalty among his commanders and ensuring that internal dissent never undermined the fragile unity he had achieved. A task as delicate and dangerous as any battlefield maneuver, and perhaps even more so, for while he had mastered the art of war, he now had to master the art of peace, balancing justice with pragmatism, rewarding allies and punishing treachery with measured severity, never allowing power to corrupt his principles entirely. As the Third Crusade unfolded, with figures like Richard the Lionheart arriving on the shores of the Levant, Saladin's legend was tested anew, as he faced opponents renowned for their courage and cunning, yet his experience, foresight, and intimate knowledge of the terrain allowed him to conduct a war of maneuver, striking where his enemies were weak, retreating when necessary, and always keeping the broader objective in mind, preserving Jerusalem under Muslim control while avoiding unnecessary losses, which demanded a combination of tactical brilliance, emotional intelligence, and political acumen that few could match. The battles of Arsuf, Jaffa, and the prolonged siege of Acre became stages on which Saladin's genius shone, even when the Crusaders claimed partial victories, for he understood that endurance and morale often outweighed immediate conquest, and he leveraged diplomacy to extract truces that solidified his gains, demonstrating that a true leader wields both sword and word with equal potency, shaping events through intellect and strategy as much as through force. Beyond the campaigns, Saladin's personal qualities, His humility, piety, and generosity cemented his influence, as he would often refuse luxuries, share the spoils of war with his soldiers, and maintain an austere lifestyle that contrasted with the opulence of European courts, signaling that his authority derived not from wealth alone, but from integrity, courage, and devotion to a cause greater than himself. And even as age and illness began to claim him, he remained deeply involved in the affairs of state, directing military operations, resolving disputes, and advising his heirs, always mindful of the legacy he would leave, knowing that the unity of the Muslim world he had forged was fragile, and that the seeds of division could undo decades of effort if not carefully tended. When he finally passed away in 1193, the sorrow that swept through Damascus and beyond was not merely for a ruler, but for an ideal, a man whose life had embodied the highest virtues of leadership and faith, leaving behind a model of rulership admired across religious and cultural boundaries, whose name would become synonymous with honor, strategy, and moral courage. In the centuries that followed, chronicles, poems, and oral traditions preserved his memory, portraying him as the exemplar of a just and formidable ruler whose victories were not measured solely in conquered lands, but in the hearts he inspired, the mercy he extended, and the unity he achieved, proving that true greatness lies not only in triumph over enemies, but in the capacity to lead with wisdom, restraint, and vision. And thus the story of Saladin, the Sultan who crushed the Crusades, remains a testament to what can be accomplished. When courage, intellect, and principle converge in a single life, forever echoing across the sands of history, the walls of cities, and the consciousness of civilizations that still remember the shadow of his legacy. Even after Saladin's death, his influence continued to shape the politics and conflicts of the Middle East, as the Ayyubid dynasty he founded struggled to maintain the unity and stability he had painstakingly achieved. For though he had been a master of war and statecraft, he had also relied heavily on his personal authority and charisma. And without him, rivalries among his sons, generals, and governors threatened to fracture the empire he had built. Yet even in the midst of such turmoil, the memory of Saladin's leadership served as a moral compass, a standard against which rulers measured their own conduct, for his combination of strategic genius, religious devotion, and unwavering ethics created a benchmark of legitimacy and honor that transcended mere territorial control, influencing not only Muslims, but also the Crusaders who had faced him, many of whom came to respect his fairness, generosity, and code of conduct in warfare, setting him apart in an era notorious for brutality and treachery. Historians and chroniclers from both the Islamic and Christian worlds recorded his campaigns with awe, noting his tactical brilliance at Hattin, his patient siegecraft at Acre, and his diplomatic skill in negotiating truces with Richard the Lionheart, all of which showcased a leader who understood that true power was not measured solely by the sword, but by the ability to inspire loyalty, command respect, and balance mercy with strength. And through these accounts, his story was woven into the larger tapestry of medieval history, becoming a symbol of chivalric virtue as much as martial success. Saladin's legacy also endured in the hearts of ordinary people, as tales of his magnanimity, piety, and justice were told and retold across generations, inspiring poets, storytellers, and religious scholars to frame him as the ideal of righteous leadership, a sultan whose victories were inseparable from his moral and spiritual character, and whose life demonstrated that war, while inevitable in a turbulent world, could be conducted with humanity and honor, leaving an enduring imprint not only on the lands he ruled, but on the very concept of leadership itself. Even centuries later, his image would be invoked as a unifying figure in times of conflict, a reminder that courage tempered by wisdom, faith aligned with action, and strength guided by principle could achieve what brute force alone never could. And as historians continue to study the Crusades, the medieval Islamic world, and the interplay of religion, politics, and warfare, Saladin's name remains a touchstone, a lens through which the complexities of that era are understood, illustrating the enduring power of a single life to shape the course of history, inspire generations, and bridge the divides of culture, faith, and nation, proving that true greatness is measured not only in victories won on the battlefield, but in the respect earned, the lives spared, and the moral example set for all who follow. Thus, the story of Saladin the Sultan who crushed the Crusades resonates across time as a monumental narrative of vision, valor, mercy, and enduring legacy, a testament to a man whose life transformed the medieval world and whose shadow still looms over the pages of history, reminding us that leadership, when wielded with justice and courage, can leave a mark far deeper and longer lasting than any conquest, and that the true measure of a ruler is not the lands he seizes, but the principles he upholds, the unity he fosters, and the hope he inspires, making Saladin an immortal figure whose saga continues to captivate, instruct, and inspire audiences even today, calling on us to reflect on the enduring power of courage, wisdom, and honor in the shaping of human destiny, and inviting every generation to remember that history is not only written by victories and defeats, but by the character of those who lead, the choices they make, and the humanity they preserve amidst the chaos of war, as Saladin so profoundly exemplified throughout his extraordinary life. And as we draw the curtain on the extraordinary saga of Saladin, the Sultan who crushed the Crusades, we are left with a portrait of a man whose brilliance was matched only by his humanity, a ruler whose victories reshaped the medieval world, and whose mercy and wisdom set a standard for leadership that resonates even today, reminding us that history is not simply the story of battles won or lands conquered, but of the courage, honor, and principles that endure long after the swords are sheathed. Saladin's life teaches us that true power lies in the delicate balance of strength and compassion, in the unity of vision and action, and in the ability to inspire both fear and respect in equal measure. And it is this enduring legacy that continues to captivate historians, storytellers, and audiences across the globe, drawing us into the timeless drama of a man who became more than a sultan, more than a warrior, more than a name. He became a legend whose story echoes through centuries. If you've been inspired by the incredible life and legacy of Saladin, make sure to like this video, share it with fellow history enthusiasts, leave your thoughts and questions in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more cinematic, dramatic, and deeply engaging historical documentaries that bring the past to life in ways you've never seen before, because every story from history holds lessons, legends, and moments that can change the way we see the world. And your subscription ensures you never miss an adventure into the lives of the figures who shaped our shared human story.